I have a very big scoop to bring you that we've been sitting on now for the better part of a month. And I will explain why we waited for so long before telling you. But first, here's this scoop. We discovered where convicted terrorist murderer Omar Khadr has hidden at least $3 million of his $10 million payout that he received from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Remember Omar Khadr? He is the Canadian-born son of al-qaeda royalty who went off to Afghanistan to fight against Canada and against our allies on behalf of that terrorist organization. And when I say the Khadrs are al-qaeda royalty, I'm not exaggerating. Osama bin Laden went to Omar Khadr's sister's wedding. Omar Khadr was there in Afghanistan fighting and making bombs for terrorists as a terrorist himself. Just shy of his 16th birthday, he killed a U.S. Army medic named Christopher Speer and severely injured, blinding, a Green Beret named Lane Morris. Khadr was also injured in the ensuing firefight and was put back together by the very same people he had just tried to kill. And for that, Khadr was found guilty of murder and war crimes and held at Gitmo, sentenced to 40 years. Khadr was never repentant, though. He admitted to his crimes. But Obama wanted Canada to repatriate him, as Obama tried to empty Gitmo for political reasons, and so he did. Back on Canadian soil, Omar Khadr started using our legal system against us, as terrorists tend to do. He had his sentence reduced eventually to just bail, and he walks the streets of Edmonton today a free man. He is whitewashing his evil life. And he's also a very rich man, thanks to Canadian taxpayers. Khadr claimed that he was the victim of human rights abuses at the hands of our American friends while Khadr was serving his time in Gitmo. And without ever proceeding to a trial where real evidence would be presented about exactly what constituted the dastardly deeds against sweet little Omar, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau struck a deal with him, delivering Khadr a $10 million payout for Canada's apparent failure to intervene on behalf of a killer. But now we know Khadr's alleged torture included sleep deprivation. Worse still, Justin Trudeau structured the payout to Khadr in secrecy, in such a way that it would make it very difficult for Khadr's living victims, the Speer family and the Morris family, to execute the wrongful death judgment they won against Khadr. Khadr and his lawyers have so far sheltered that money given to Khadr by Canadian taxpayers from a $134 million U.S. court judgment. Trudeau cooperated with the lawyers of a terrorist to deny what little bit of justice these families could extract. So that's the backstory. Now, I received a tip about a month ago about a real estate deal where Omar Khadr's name had popped up. I received a screenshot, and some of you may have seen this screenshot now circling around social media in the last week or so. At the time, I immediately started chasing down the information because a tip or a screenshot, that's just not enough, especially with something this explosive and important. But first, let's start with that screenshot that got the ball rolling. This is it here. It shows a commercial investment building sale, what's described as a shopping center, but it's really an aging strip mall in an aging neighborhood in North Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. One of the two purchasers of the property for $3 million cash, might I add, is a numbered Alberta company, 2156536 Alberta Limited. The director of that company is named as Omar Khadr with a street address in West Edmonton. But this is just a screenshot and it's just a tip. Everything we see here needed to be independently confirmed. So from there, I went about confirming the information I saw in the screenshot. I've got a numbered company and I've got an address. That's great. That's normally way more than I have to go on. From there, we pulled a corporate entity search from the government of Alberta just to confirm that numbered company, 2156536 Alberta Limited, really does belong to one Omar Khadr. And sure enough, he is one of the two sole directors of that company with a business address matching the one that was in the screenshot. Then we pulled the land title certificate for the address. We can confirm on November 29th, 2018, a transfer of land valued at $3 million Canadian was made to Omar Khadr's aforementioned numbered company, 2156536 Alberta Limited. We also know Khadr owns the property free and clear. There is no mortgage held on it. We pulled this business debtor search just to be sure. Now, from there, I went out to check out the building a few weeks ago when I was in the city. It was dark, and for that, I was grateful. I really didn't want anybody to notice somebody like me fishing around taking photos anyway, since I was there by myself. Here's what I can tell you about the location. It's in an older neighborhood of north central Edmonton. The building itself houses a tire shop, a daycare, a travel agency, a commercial painting business, and a seasonal garden center. The building houses a daycare and out-of-school care because it is right across the street from a very large elementary school. The terrorist who left 2 small children fatherless after murdering their dad in Afghanistan owns a strip mall right across the street from a large elementary school. Now, the last thing I want is for the businesses inside this strip mall to be the targets of any sort of harassment. Times are tough. In Alberta, the economy is brutal, and cheap rent is cheap rent. I'm pretty sure these businesses didn't ask for a convicted terrorist to suddenly become their landlord. Things just worked out that way for them after the previous owner sold the building to Khadr. I actually have a great deal of pity and empathy for these businesses. And here's why it took us just so long to bring you the information. First off, we, of course, wanted to make sure it was all correct. We wanted to verify and then verify again. And doing that, of course, wasn't cheap. We had to get our lawyers involved, who then started pulling all those land title documents and all those corporate registry searches that I already showed you on our behalf. But we were also waiting for another reason. Because as soon as we verified independently that Omar Khadr owned this property, we let the family of murdered Army medic Christopher Speer know. We let Lane Morris, that blinded Green Beret, know. We let Lane Morris's lawyer know. We gave them a head start. According to that wrongful death judgment against Omar Khadr, this $3 million property should be theirs. Now, I think Khadr is going to try to hide this money again. I think he will transfer this property into another person's name or another numbered shell company to put it out of the reach of his living victims, who have every legal right to strip Omar Khadr of his ill-gotten windfall. It's unfair, but I'm glad we at least gave them advance notice to try to level the playing field a little. From the very beginning of the rebel, we have always tried to stand on the side of Omar Khadr's victims and against his apologists on the CBC, the Liberal Party of Canada, and the rest of the mainstream media. When Justin Trudeau paid out that $10 million taxpayer-funded gift to Omar Khadr for the trouble of having a few sleepless nights in Gitmo, we decided to show the world that Canadians are not our government. And we, along with all of our viewers and supporters, raised $250,000 for the Speer family right when they needed it the most. Despite what the mainstream media and Liberals would like the world to think, Canadians know better. They know Omar Khadr is not the victim, and he was no child soldier. He's the killer of one good man and the maimer of another. He's an orphan maker, a war criminal who walks free on the streets of Edmonton, flaunting the injustice of his freedom every single day. Now, here's my promise to all of you, to the Speer family and to the Morris family, and I suppose it's a promise to Omar Khadr too. If Omar Khadr moves this money, I will do everything I can to find it again. And I will do my best to find that other $7 million so that it ends up in the hands of the people who deserve it, and not as some real estate nest egg padding the retirement plan of an unrepentant, cold-blooded killer. And if you have a tip, please send it to tips@therebel.media. I'll chase them down ferociously, and we'll keep you anonymous. This isn't the end of this story. For therebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. I'm going to do my very best to find the rest of Omar Khadr's money. If you have a tip, please send it to tips@therebel.media, and let's see if we can get the Speer family and the Morris family a little bit of the justice they were denied by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.